saying that she's from Akwa Ibom State and she's married to an Igbo person whom she met in school. They fell in love, built a life together. However, the kind of misunderstandings they had when they were just dating was like just funny misunderstandings about food and the way they cooked and culture. But since she entered into his family, those small things became mountains I couldn't climb. She goes on to say his mother never took to me. She would speak to my husband in Igbo, knowing I don't understand, then glance at me and sigh. His sisters would laugh at jokes I couldn't follow, and when I asked, they'd say it's nothing. I knew it wasn't nothing. I could feel the distance growing. I tried. I learned a few Igbo greetings, cooked their traditional soups, and dressed in their style for family gatherings. But no matter what I did, I remained the outsider. They said I didn't understand their ways. They said that my husband, I almost said his name, they said my husband had changed since marrying me, that he became too modern, too distant from his roots. They blamed me for it. I began to resent them as much as they resented me. I started avoiding family gatherings. I am tired of the whispers and side glances. My husband noticed, but he didn't fully understand. They will come around, he'd say. Just give them time. But how much time? How long must I prove that I am worthy of being his wife? It hurts. It hurts. It hurts to love a man, but feel like I must fight for my place in his family. It hurts to be resented for things I cannot change. Where I was born, the language I speak, the culture that raised me. I don't know what to do anymore. Do I keep trying, or do I let go and accept that to them I will always be a stranger in the home? OSYB, please, what should I do? Well, that's the question. That's the conversation. And you know the funny thing is that when people reacted to this on Monday, a lot of people were asking, didn't you see the red flags when you were dating? And that's a big question. But, you know, we call this a judgment-free zone. We call it a safe zone, a safe place where people can really, really be vulnerable and speak up about their issues. Yeah, we may have made mistakes in choosing something, but then now that we have to live with it, how do we work through this? Of course, thankful I'm not going to be having this conversation alone today, Mrs. Ethel. Okay, so where do we pick this from? Where do we start?
The question she has put forward illustrates the complexities of navigating cultural differences in marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, multicultural nation like Nigeria, is expected that there would be intercultural marriages.
Yeah.
As well as we have intra-cultural marriages.
Yeah.
We will also have intercultural marriages. And so we are looking at how can she navigate these cultural differences and still enjoy her marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is to be enjoyed. It's not to be endured.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I usually say to people, excellent marriage does not fall on people's laps. You need to work it out. There is no building that ever builds itself. There is no farmland that ever tills itself. Somebody must till it. And so I will start by using this analogy. If you have a child who messes up your bed sheets and the bed,
Okay.
what will you do?
Of course, first of all, you pick the child off the bed sheet, clean the child up, and pack the bed sheet and clean that up as well. You would attend to both.
So you're not going to throw away the child?
Nah.
You're not going to throw away the bed sheet?
No.
And you're not going to throw away the bed?
No, we won't.
So let's not.
We can't afford to throw all three away.
So let's look at the bed as the foundation of their marital relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, which is love. Let's see the bed sheets as the cultural connection. Okay, and let us now see the baby as our in-laws who are from different culture. Remember that when babies do things, they don't do it intentionally most of the time. They don't even know that they have hurt you. They don't even know that they've done something wrong.
Yeah.
And so I want her to view the in-laws like that baby. Okay, so what is she going to do with the mess? Now, what's the mess? We have to identify the mess, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And based on what she has written there, we can identify the mess as, okay, language barrier,
Language barriers, cultural barriers,
cultural barriers,
growing up and everything.
okay, and then I see that there's a family expectation there that they expect a husband to do, and he's not meeting up to that expectation anymore. Okay, and so these could be seen as the mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I think she should do is, number one, identify or acknowledge the mess.
Okay.
Number two, do cleanup. You need to discipline yourself to clean up, just like you clean up the bed sheets. You need to clean up the misconceptions that you've been having, that each time they talk to themselves in their dialect, they are probably talking about you.
Yeah.
That's a misconception.
It could be a misconception.
It could be a misconception.
Yeah.
Okay, let me not say it's not.
But what
a
about this? What
misconception.
about the side glances that she said she gets? Because of course, one thing that I think every human being does is when you visit a place and people are talking and they look at you, you feel it's you first of all. So it might be nothing, and then it could be something.
It
as well.
might be, and it could be. So, what you can do to save your marriage, because I believe maybe we should ask in the first instance, why did she send in this question? I believe it's because she wants to save her marriage.
Yes, she
So-
wants to work it out.
She wants to work it out. So, if that is the ultimate goal, then you're going to have to do a cleanup. And how would you do that? You need to change your mindset. And I'm going to be talking about myself. I am not Yoruba in any way. I'm a Rivers lady.
And you're married to a Yoruba
And
man.
I'm married to an Ondo man.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about that for a little bit for perspective, because one of our callers who called on Wednesday, she said something. She said she's from Akwa Ibom. My husband is from Delta. She doesn't understand the language, even though she grew up in Delta State. But she said one thing that her husband always does was that anytime, or did also when she just got married, was that anytime they were at family gatherings or whatsoever, and the family spoke the dialect to him, he would respond in English so that she gets a perspective into what is being said.
Okay.
And she said that made her feel comfortable. That caller on Wednesday said she feels like there's a lot left for the man to do to make his wife comfortable. But then, for you, who did you understand Yoruba before you got married, or is something that you had to learn after you got married?
I had to learn.
Oh wow!
I was born and brought up in Lagos, but I did not mix up with them.
No.
Okay, so when I got married, I had to start learning the language.
Okay.
But you see, learning the language isn't enough. Cooking their meal or learning how to cook their meal isn't enough. What I had to do was a mindset change.
Okay.
A mindset change.
Okay.
How did I do that? I sat down and I look at it. You are entering into another family,
Yeah.
and your husband has a mom and has a father who are still alive. Okay, so if you and your husband are now one, then it means his mom is now your mom
Yeah.
and his father is now your father.
Yes.
So that's the way I began to view my mother-in-law. In fact, you won't even hear mother-in-law from my mouth. Neither would you hear daughter-in-law from my mother-in-law's mouth. We behave as though she gave birth to me directly.
Wow.
Okay, so it's not enough for you to learn their meal. It's not enough. And then what did I do? I began to see my in-laws, as in my father and mother-in-law, as my parents.
Yeah.
So what I do for my mom, my father is late. So
Yeah.
what I do for my mom, I do for them.
Mother-in-law.
I buy things for her.
Yeah.
Okay, go give them to her. I call her frequently. How are you doing? I just want to check on you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And aside from that, I carry her along my personal activities. Like I want to travel, I will give her a call. Mama, I'm traveling. I covet your prayers. So she will pray for me. So there is this rapport even though I don't understand their dialect, you hear Katie, the Ondos, they have a way they say their own.
Their Yoruba is even much more different from the general Yoruba.
Yeah. But you see, I don't get there and begin to feel like
an outsider
because I have made myself acceptable by them by first accepting them as my own mom or dad. In fact, when I had my daughters, my mother-in-law is always with me in the hospital.
Wow.
People never knew she wasn't my direct mom. They thought this was my mom because of the way, we actually connect with each other. So back to what we were saying, she has to do a cleanup of any kind of misconception, okay? Because they may be speaking against her and they may not.
Yeah.
Now, she has to begin to see her mother-in-law and the father-in-law and the siblings of her husband as though they are a direct, yes. As though she has a direct relationship with them. Now, you have to accept them first and begin to do things that prove that you are not an outsider.
Yeah.
You are one of them. Make sure that you are part of what's going on in the family. They want to do a building. Oh, this is my own contribution. This is my own quota. Oh, they are planning this. Or you want to go and visit your mom or your father-in-law. You see me calling her mom. It's my mother-in-law, and I'm calling her mom because I'm already used to it.
Yeah.
You go there, you don't go empty-handed. You are conscious
of the fact.
This is my family too.
Okay, so I want to say this now because sometimes you could make an effort, like you have done. Maybe the family you were part of or you married into was one that was maybe evolved enough to accept people from other tribes and nationalities and love them regardless of what they are. This person is my son's wife, I love her. This person is my daughter's husband, I love him. Like all of this is things that I think maybe some people. Now, one thing we had to do on Monday when we started this conversation and on Wednesday as well was that we had to say that this is not a tribal war. We're not saying this is what all Igbos do.
Okay.
Because of course there are people. I've met Igbos that are really very jovial. My brother is married to an Igbo person, one of the most beautiful people I've met in my life. She's really very invested in other people, so I can speak for that culture and not say, oh, this is an Igbo thing. Now, so I wanted to make that clarification. But then sometimes you could try with some people, do gifts, go out of your way to contribute, even give love. Give your life to them. They still would not accept you. And I think this young lady is there. So now that maybe she has tried all of those things and they seem not to still accept her, what do you think she should do when everything she seems to do does not work? Like we've established, it's not just about cooking their meals or speaking their language. It's about also doing much more. But now you've done so much more and they still are not accepting you. What do you think should be done in that extent?
Okay, consistency is the rule of the game. You don't do it a little bit, you haven't seen any result, and then you stop. And you say, oh, I've tried and nothing is working. Who told you nothing is working? Something is working somewhere. It's just like somebody being pregnant of a baby.
Yeah.
Of course, it may not show. For some people, it doesn't even show till 8 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
So, but is there a fetus there?
It's growing.
Something is growing. So you may think that all those efforts are useless.
Wasted.
They are wasted. They are not wasted.
Okay.
I can tell you that they are never wasted. So let her not stop. Consistency is the rule of the game.
Okay, so consistency is the rule of the game. And of course, if you want to join the conversation, you can call the numbers 0805 092 0927. You could also send a WhatsApp message to 0705 6900 927, or you could call 0802 502 7711. We've got a couple of messages coming in and I want to just respond to them. This one says, good morning, Ethel and OSYB. Good morning. She's saying good morning to you. And this is from Ngozi in Lekki. Ngozi says, this happened to my cousin. She kept showing love and respect to her in-laws until they accepted her. It takes time, but don't lose hope. Let your husband do the heavy lifting in convincing them. This is what Ngozi is saying. Chukudi from Surulere says, as an Igbo man, I can say that some of our people still hold on onto old beliefs. But times are changing. Your husband needs to stand by you and make them see that that love is bigger than tribe. That's what Chukwudi from Surulere. And I love the fact that Chukwudi says, I am Igbo, first of all. Says, as an Igbo man, I know that sometimes some people hold on to certain types of traditions. But then, what do you say to
and
this?
He said something I really liked. He said, love is bigger than tribe.
Tribe, yeah.
Yes, love is truly bigger if you know and truly understand what love is all about. Okay, so listening to what he just said now, yes, there are old beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay. Tribal beliefs. This is the way we do our things here. This is how it must be done. Stereotypes and what have you.
Yeah.
And this other person is saying, no, my own upbringing is different. And this is how we do our things here. So how do we strike a balance?
Yes.
So that is where she needs to open up the communication lines with her husband. This, she rightly said that they both had this, they saw that they had the differences. Okay, but they just brushed it aside.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say to singles, perhaps any single listening, when you see red flags in your relationship,
pay attention to them.
Please pay good, not just attention, but good attention to them.
Yeah.
And make sure that, before I got married to my husband, I told you that I'm Rivers, my husband is Yoruba. Yeah. We had to discuss during courtship, what language will the children speak?
Okay.
And we agreed there and then that, okay, you will speak your dialect to them, your Rivers language to them.
Yeah.
And because they're in Lagos, they will grow up to understand the Yoruba language.
Yeah.
So, and that was what we did. So she needs to look for a good time.
So you beat culturally diverse children, which is a blessing, actually, if you ask me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But you see, they understand more of it. She doesn't have to allow him to be the one to foot the bill. She can pay and say, oh, let's go out, honey, and have a good time. And as they're having a good time, she begins to
bring up this conversation. Okay, we've got some more messages. This one, Kemi from Maryland says, dear sister, don't force yourself on them. Love those who love you. But if your husband is not defending you, that's a red flag. Love without support is tough. Well, that's what Kemi is saying. What do you think about that, though?
It can be really, really tough. It can be really tough. But you see, no matter how tough it can be, we always hear people say, tough times don't last.
Yeah.
But tough people do.
Yeah.
So the question again, do you want to save your marriage? If the answer is yes, then if it is tough to have a husband who is not supporting you, then you too need to become tough.
Yeah.
Toughen up.
Yeah.
Okay, how? By not getting tired of showing your husband and his family love. You know what things I do? I call my husband, okay, this is end of month. In fact, we don't even wait for end of month at times. What can we give to our
parents?
And when I mean parents, I mean
both sides.
So we package something and we give to them. Now, aside from what we give as a couple, I personally give to my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. Yes, I envelope something separately and I give to them. A man's gift makes room for him. So keep it.
That's wisdom.
Keep
That's a lot of wisdom.
Yes. When I go to the market, I don't buy things for myself alone. As I'm buying the groceries and what have you, I also buy for my mother-in-law.
Wow.
And then I package them and I send it to her. So she can come up with, what can we do? It's daddy's birthday, it's grandpa's birthday, it's grandma's birthday. Okay, why don't we buy this? And the husband will begin to look at her like something is different about her.
Yeah.
So she can have a fresh start. I call it fresh start.
Fresh start.
And that fresh start has to be intentional. She has to be intentional about saving a marriage.
Okay, so this message here, of course, talking about marriage, Tolu from Ogba says, marriage is hard enough without in-law dramas. If they don't accept you, Focus on your home and your husband. Let them come to terms with it in their own time. Let's see who this caller is. Someone is trying to reach us. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. Martin, calling from Ijegu.
Mr. Uche from Ijegun.
Mr. Martin from Ijegu.
Mr. Martin from Ijegun, please go ahead.
Yeah. Please, I just opened my editor now, and I just jumped into
The conversation.
position. Please, but there's something I wanted to ask.
Okay, please go ahead.
What if the woman, when assuming that the man is from Igbo, while the woman is from Yoruba or any other tribe anyway?
Yeah.
So, and they are having some issues.
Yeah.
Both of them have some issues. Then, what if the man take that thing to the parents?
To
Like, to Zoom parents. Like, there are some men, any little thing you do with your wife, they will just call their parents and be telling them, is that. What are we going to do about it?
Okay, thank you very much. Please keep listening, and of course, our guests will be answering your questions in due time. So I'm guessing this person is talking about people who take their marital issues and talk to their parents about it. What do you think?
Okay, I will address it in two ways.
Okay.
First, I'll be talking to single men out there.
Okay.
Marriage is for the matured, for the mature man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to keep being tied to your mother's
Apron string.
No. You don't have to. So if you're single and you're listening to me now, you need to become matured to the point that you have to take care of your marital issues yourself without bringing in third party into it. And the second way I will approach this matter is where either of the partners, either the man or the woman, keeps involving third party into the issue and is actually bringing problem to the marriage. It still boils down to communication. Okay. Now they have to both sit down and discuss the matter and say, I don't know what you may call your own spouse. You can say, honey, there's something we do that is not right.
Yeah.
And I think we need to iron it out.
Yeah.
What's that? You know, all of our differences, we seem to be involving
Outsiders, family
members. And you see, this is where it usually ends. The result is not usually the best. The result is not usually okay. So what do you think we can do about it? You know, don't impose what you think should be done to your partner.
Yeah.
You know, lead the discussion. Guide your partner into coming up with solution. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's not like you are coming to say, honey, we're not going to be doing this again. We're not going to be involving our third party.
Don't make it confrontational.
No. Don't make it confrontational. Don't get out there to your spouse and begin to nag and no.
Yeah.
Bring it up as though you are guiding him or her into what do you think we can do
to make this better.
Well,
it always is beautiful to have these conversations with you. Like I said, this is a conversation that is supposed to bridge ignorance and knowledge, supposed to help us go from a place of hatred to a place of love. And I hope every person who is listening, the person who sent in that message, and every person who is listening right now has been able to gain a thing or two. Tomorrow we'll be wrapping this up with a nice little ribbon, but time is fast spent. But I must say thank you so much, Ethel Fadoju, for coming in today and for bringing a little bit of your personal experiences into it. Of course, you're not from the Southwest. You're not from the Yoruba land, but you're married to a Yoruba man. And of course, I saw how you lit up like a Christmas tree when your husband walked into the hall the other day when we had the event. But then it's really very nice to see that there are people who are very intentional about their marriages and marital lives. And thank you so much to the person who sent in this message to ask